Good morning, Rogersville. Welcome to another week here on K-ROG, and we've got Rickstrew the Disability Guru, here with you again today. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You enjoying the weather?
It's a little nippy, yeah.
Yeah. It's the interesting thing about it is it went from 70 to 20 pretty rapidly, and I got all bundled up Sunday or morning, and with my hoodie and my big thick leather jacket, and like, it's not that cold. It didn't feel that bad.
Right.
And I think it's because it was, at least Sunday, it was not windy. So, you can tolerate the low temperatures a lot better when it's just, with the wind comes whipping through, man, it'll eat you up. It's really cold.
I'm a Western Colorado transplant from years and years ago, and winter is my favorite season. So I love the snow. I don't mind the ice. I don't mind the cold. It just kind of causes the world to slow down a little bit, and I like that. Yeah,
I do too. I really enjoy the ice. I really enjoy the snow. Fall I prefer, and we got a decent fall this year, which we don't usually get around here. So I really enjoyed that. But I don't mind the ice, and I don't mind the snow. Boy, I hate the rain and the cold rain and the mud. I just am not a fan of cold rain and mud. But snow's fine. It's pretty, and it's just the quietness of when there's a nice snow cover out there, and it just sort of captures all of that sound and mutes it. It's just kind of nice just to enjoy the silence just a little bit. But we're going to keep talking about disability today. So we want to make sure that people do the right things and don't do the wrong things. So what do you think?
Well, today I was going to talk a little bit about a couple situations in which you don't get full credit for your disability or your condition. And, of course, the one that's most common there is drug use. Social Security can determine your drug use as material to your condition, and they can reduce the amount of value they give that aspect of your condition.
I see.
And, of course, you'll know as well as anyone from the years that you've done a lot of legal work, there are a lot of symptoms of chronic drug use that look like symptoms of depression or anxiety.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Appetite change, we're going to get a little goofy here in this regards, but excessive sleepiness, the munchies, right? Some of those type of things. People become jittery oftentimes, lack of motivation, depression overall. And it's hard for Social Security to sort out whether or not that's your drug use speaking through, or if it's actually key symptoms of your condition.
Yeah, and that's going to be really interesting coming up now that we just legalized recreational marijuana in Missouri. That's going to have a big impact on disability claims, I would think.
I think it will. And, something that's kind of interesting with the Social Security judges, a lot of these folks are individuals who had went through military careers, retired from the military, used their GI Bill, went to law school, became judges. There are a lot of pretty highly ranked military personnel that have become judges in Social Security, and there's not a lot of tolerance for drug use in their minds. You spend 30 years in an institution military where it's explicitly banned. Yeah. It's kind of hard to be warm and fuzzy towards it later on in life.
Well, and I guess the other aspect of that, too, is just a jurisdictional issue as well. Missouri can legalize marijuana all they want, but it's still criminal from a federal standpoint. Even though Missouri says it's illegal here, just like every other state that says it's legal, if the feds really wanted to, they could come in and say, well, I don't care what Colorado thinks, I don't care what Missouri thinks. It's illegal to possess marijuana on a federal level. You could be prosecuted federally if they wanted to, but the trick is they don't want to.
Yeah, and it's interesting as a practical matter with Social Security, most judges look at marijuana and just kind of yawn. It's become so commonplace, it's not such a big deal. If you're into harder drugs, it's a little more of a critical eye that looks at you. But for Social Security to really count your drug use against you, it has to be found to be material. It has to contribute to your condition. And kind of the standard with that is, would you be disabled in the absence of the drug use if you stopped using it?
Yeah, the but-for test.
Right. So, in reality, a lot of times I think the judges look at that and they say, oh, look, he's a drug user, that's a problem. But in reality, when you look at medical records, very rarely is there that direct link that ties those two things together, unless you've been in a rehab facility, and then, of course, it's there.
And I suppose that's why one reason it's really important to have an advocate on your side in order to be able to understand those nuances and explain those correctly to the hearing officer.
Yeah, sure. You wouldn't want to have somebody who was just a casual drug user lose credit for a serious underlying psychological disorders just simply because they were a casual drug user.
And I think this is just bears to mind in my work that I did for so many years and what you're doing now. People don't often, I think, maybe this is a wrong statement, encounter truly adversarial relationship processes. I mean, I understand there's negotiations in business, but generally, even in negotiations in business, you're working towards a goal. But in other than professional sports, there's usually not the idea that out of this income, there's going to be AKA a winner and a loser. There's somebody like when I did criminal work, there's a prosecutor that's looking for one outcome, and there's a defense attorney that's looking for the exact opposite outcome. And now they may reach an agreement. And so I think when people maybe go into the disability process unrepresented, they don't understand that person that they're talking to probably is trying to deny them, not trying to help them. Is that fair?
Well, I don't think we can say that the judges are setting out to try
Well,
to deny.
I didn't mean the judge, but is there, maybe there's not. I've never done disability law. Is there not they're not an advocate on the other side arguing against your position?
Oh, no, it's a non-adversarial hearing.
Oh, okay,
and so
well,
the judges
never mind.
are just there to try to draw some sort of conclusion about the medical records. And, of course, they're supposed to follow what the records tell them,
Yeah.
To a large degree. But, no, there's not a person on the other side.
There's not a prosecutor in that.
No.
So I've never touched disability law, so maybe that's one reason why.
Interestingly enough, there are some states that have Medicaid programs that are set up that way. And that's quite a shock to folks. Like Kansas, I think, is one of those.
Really.
But the other thing I was going to mention today is another situation in which you kind of lose credit for some key aspects of your condition is if you were injured in the commission of a crime.
Oh, yeah.
And people don't think about that. Now, as a practical standpoint, I've never really seen drug use be labeled a commission of a crime and then take away the effects of too much meth and what it did to your heart necessarily.
Yeah.
But through the years, I've had some interesting cases in this regards. We had a gentleman who stole a motorcycle and was screaming down the sidewalk on the motorcycle. And a good Samaritan opened the car door.
Oh.
And made a mess, as you can imagine. He had significant injuries. But, Social Security wouldn't look at his injuries.
Okay, did they open the car door
on purpose?
On purpose to stop the person?
Purpose,
Oh, wow. Gee whiz.
I also had a gentleman in Joplin who had reached out to us. We didn't take his case. But he had been on an altercation with a police officer and was on top of the police, was trying to push his eyes in with his thumbs, and the cop found his service weapon and shot him in the head. And significant disabilities, no doubt.
Right.
But, again, commission of a crime.
Denied.
Yeah. They didn't count that aspect. He had some other things that were wrong with him. He had a back condition and some other stuff. They give credit for that.
Yeah.
But in regards to the injury from the shooting,
getting shot in the head.
Much.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting, and I'm sure I know the answer to this. But let's say you're in a car wreck, and that was a subject of your disability, but you were speeding. So that's in the commission of a crime.
It is, but it's a lot
of this. They're not going to count that.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff, just like the drug use. You know, if it's a minor offense, it's not going to be such a big deal. Okay. I did have a gentleman that escaped from prison. He fell over the wall and broke his back. Yeah, and obviously that wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fine. Well, if you have questions about disability and just general questions, give Roy a call. His number is 882-1800, and he'll see you today. Yeah. If you called this morning, he'll see you this afternoon. He reserves all that time. But visit his website, yourdisabilityrep.com, for more information, and we will see you tomorrow on The Morning Waffle. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.